chilling. What's up, chat? This is how I caught a loss, and I missed. Not really missed. I just didn't account for something on my on the first trade, and ended up missing that because the draws and liquidity already taken. I tried to catch a reversal, ended up getting stopped out, but the reversal ended up playing out to like my first take profit. But this is the trade recap. So coming into today, um, this is what we had honestly on the hourly. Let's look at the hourly first because this is where like everything really played off. We were respecting bearish order flow. Like to me, we broke structure below here. We made a fair value gap. Well, whoa, I'm gonna say we broke structure within last night and last week, and then from there we ended up creating a fair value gap right here. We ended up playing off of this gap. However, we didn't close inside of the gap. Well, we did close inside of the gap, but however, we didn't really inverse it at all. We were just playing down low. So my daily bias was honestly based off of this gap alone. I wanted to see manipulation into this gap and ES or Nasdaq taking out one of these highs, like 15-minute highs or previous session highs, and from there we see a reversal down low. However, that quickly changed due to the fact that I just realized that we had a 15-minute SMT, like literally like 30 seconds before like recording this video, and after I just finished journaling. We ended up having a 15-minute SMT right here. So I knew like that was probably going to be impossible for us to like have a bearish order flow day. Mainly because we had so many bullish SMTs. I'm going to explain where I got messed up on. And yeah, Nasdaq just took out all my draws and liquidity. Wow. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So with this, we had this 15-minute SMT. So with this 15-minute SMT, the most highs that we would be targeted would be these highs, will be London session highs, Asian session highs right here, and then we also have like these low resistance highs right here. Like this high right here would honestly be taken. Not really taken because it's like we were just in a range there in pre-market is really what I've noticed. We were just in this crazy range, and we were also in a range as well before I got stopped out, which was also like piss poor, but it's part of the game, man. So we were in our range, and we ended up creating this SMT. So genuinely, the highs that I would want to be targeted from this SMT would be this swing high right here, and then we also had, if we ended up like continuing bullish order flow, we also had this 15-minute high right here, 15-minute swing high liquidity, and then we also had Asian session highs, and then we also had Asian session highs again. Well, honestly, this is just freaking whatchamacallit, London session highs, but really just on the 15-minute like as low resistance. But yeah, so with that we ended up creating a 15-minute SMT. We ended up going higher, and then on the 5-minute, this is where things honestly got a little bit not sketch for me, but I messed up personally because of one simple thing. We came up into market open. We ended up sweeping this high. From there, I was honestly looking for either a liquidity sweep, so basically saying like, okay, we took out this high. Are we gonna get a reversal from that, taking out this low, or are we gonna continue bullish structure, create a 5-minute PD array, and then continue higher to this London high, Asia high, and then other Asia high? We ended up creating a 5-minute PD array. However, what I failed to notice is that we were creating an SMT in the making. We ended up creating this 5-minute PD array, and I was like, okay, we tapped into it. We didn't close above the 50% line. We ended up filling in this filling in this 5-minute, and we also filled in this 5-minute as well. So I was like, okay, we're probably gonna want to go continue and go higher. However, after we filled in all of these 5-minute PD arrays, this was around what, 9:40, so 9:45. We go to 9:45 right here. There was literally no entry. Like genuinely, there was like nothing to like base an entry off of. And I was scaling on the 3-minute as well. There was literally nothing. We made this big drop, and then we continued higher. We ended up creating literally three relatively equal highs in the process. So I was like, okay, we're probably gonna want to come up and take that though, right? What I failed to notice in that on ES we were creating an SMT on the 1-minute, and ended up creating an SMT on the 5-minute. And you're probably like, oh, how did you know we created an SMT? This is where I messed up on. This doji ass bro, this doji ass candle. So do you see in this corner right here where it's like it gives you the percentage of where price goes up? Like how we have a bearish candle, it's gonna tell you negative, positive for bullish. This had nothing. Literally nothing. So I was under the impression, I was like, okay, we're probably gonna do nothing here, right? And I got mistaken because I thought we made a bearish SMT. Literally because we had a high and then we had a lower high. and then here we had a high, and then we had a higher high. So I was like, okay, bet. Let's see if we can what we call it? Let's see if we can make something shake. We ended up not making anything shake. We ended up freaking disrespecting this SMT. We could see it up higher. However, I failed to realize we made a 1 minute internal SMT, which also equivalated to that 5 minute SMT. But it just literally went past me due to the fact that literally that doji candle, bro. And that was my fault because I didn't look on the 1 minute at that time. I was just still stuck on the 5 minute because I was like, okay, if we don't have any entries on the 1 minute, like I was already bullish because I was like, okay, we're gonna want to look for an entry and then continue to target this high, this high, this high. We also had news coming in today. We had ISM, which also helped my bullish bias because this was the 10 a.m. news. We ended up hitting take profit 1 and take profit 2 with this news alone. So with that in mind, I was like, damn. We ended up having nothing, and then in the 1 minute we created a 1 minute SMT, and then by then I was already too late. I was already too late. By the time we made this SMT, we really skyrocketed here, and I was like, wait a second, what did I miss? So I skipped on to the 3 minute. I realized, okay, damn, we made a 3 minute SMT. We made a 1 minute SMT. So I scaled down to the 1 minute. I was like, oh my god, I missed it. And I was like, where was it? So I kept my mouse here, and I realized it was literally at this candle right here on the doji candle. So I was like, bro, I thought they were like undecided, and then now realizing it in hindsight, that was my fault for not scaling onto the 1 minute and really see if it was an internal SMT because it was playing with the narrative of that we want to go higher because we retraced into the 5 minute PD array, and then 3 minute was honestly balanced. So this was genuinely my fault for missing this. And then from there, after these draws and liquidity were hit, we ended up having a reversal. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can catch a reversal because I have another draw on liquidity in mind that I honestly really want. It was these equal lows caused by the SMT on ES. So I wanted these three equal lows right here because this was hourly. This was literally 2 hourly, well 3 hourly lows, bro. So I was like, nah, we're gonna want this. At least so what? At least so I thought. This trade was honestly pretty dumb in my opinion. I should have just got off and just journaled after we hit my draws and liquidity. I should have just sat down and be like, okay, bro, what are we doing? But thinking back at this in hindsight, this trade was honestly decently valid, right? I'm gonna explain why I think it was decently valid. So coming after the well after we had a reversal, we ended up creating uh inverse for value gap, and we also broke structure on the 1 minute. I didn't even scroll down to the 3 minute or 5 minute. This was just solely based on 1 minute, which is why I got screwed over. Otherwise, if I base this off of 5 minute or 3 minute or 2 minute, not 3 minute, not 2 minute, 5 minute or 3 minute, I would have won this trade. Like price action would have been flooded in the face if the higher time frames were telling me that's what we want to do. Anyways, we ended up creating an inversion on the 1 minute, and then from there we ended up made a BPR. A BPR is practically two fair value gaps overlapping one another. So I was like, okay, whoa, let's see if we want to play into this BPR or inverse gap, and then let's continue on lower. That is exactly what we did. We ended up coming into the gap, and the BPR, and we continued on lower. So I was like, okay, you know what, this is kind of valid for me to enter. Let's enter. My stops was honestly first above here. Whoa, was like right above here for a 3R, and I was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna target these equal lows because SMT ES will probably take it first. If we continue, if we possibly created a bearish SMT, ES will probably want to take it, and then my take profit 1 would have been right here at these lows. Excuse me, no, it was not. Well, it would have been somewhere either at these like taken highs or probably would have been here at this gap. But anyways, I entered. We were really just consolidating in this like crazy, disgusting range, and I was honestly like almost guaranteed to the point that we were okay. We were gonna want to consolidate, well, accumulate orders, and then have a flood to the face. We ended up consolidating orders, coming up to fill in this gap a bit more, and I ended up getting stopped out. But before I got stopped out, I ended up making sure I trailed my stop loss all the way right here because I knew this trade wasn't the best. It was based off the 1 minute. I didn't look at the higher time frames. We were still in an uptrend on the higher time frames, so I knew it was a dumb trade. So I tried to cut my losses short with a really tight stop loss. Um, I was gonna go break even if we went past this low, but we never did. So this was like the last protected high that I would actually go towards. And then we ended up getting stopped out, and then from there, price ended up actually consolidating even more until we ended up flooding the face, literally like halfway towards my TP. This was a 2.5R, like in profit that I would have been had if I didn't get stopped out. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it of this trade. That trade was honestly kind of dumb, in my opinion. Um, post notes, I realized that damn, I actually need to account for doji candles more because they could actually tell you something on the 1 minute that I just didn't really account of. So that was honestly my fault for missing the first trade. The second trade was not, I mean, it was okay to be honest. It wasn't really like the best, mainly because I wasn't looking on the higher time frames, which is why I got messed up. And then from there, and this trade got stopped up because we also created another SMT as well right here. So that was honestly pretty unfortunate. We also created literally this SMT right here, which is the reason why we ended up coming up higher. So today was just a day of SMTs, and I should have just played this properly. I should have just played this better, to be honest, because I knew what was happening. Not, yeah, I knew what was happening. I don't know, I couldn't account for 1 minute. That was pretty much my fault. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the trade recap. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Follow the socials. I'm about to just finish journaling and just like keep watching price for a little bit more, and then I'm about to head out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. I'm out. Peace.